All right. So how's everybody today? Good, good. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about positive communications, all right? Driving performance through positive communications with your team. Because if you were to hook me up to a lie detector test, what do I really want out of my job? Honestly, I want to enjoy my job. Is anybody with me on that one? All right. So what that means is I come to work and everybody's getting along and customers are getting served and sales are up and we're hitting our goals and all those kinds of things. What I don't like so much when I go to work and I have employees that aren't getting along, right? I have customers that are upset because they don't felt like we really rolled out the red carpet for them or we really paid attention to them. We were too focused on our side conversations and things like that. And sales aren't so great either. I'm not really hitting my numbers. That's not so fun for me. Would you all agree with that? So I want to enjoy my job. So today we're going to talk about how do you do that through positive communications with employees. Because what I see today a lot is unemployment's very low, right? It's hard to find good people. So should we be more lenient with employees since employees are hard to find? I see some people nodding no. I would agree. I don't think that's the answer. But instead, our goal should be is to have a positive work environment and run a tight ship. That's what we should do. And they're really independent of each other. I don't know what one has to do with the other. I honestly show up for work every day in a good mood, okay? And I talk to people in the same manner that I talk to each of you right now, all right? I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't kick things, I don't use foul language, but that has nothing to do with how I enforce the rules. That has nothing to do with asking people to do their job, helping them do their job. I'm definitely in their corner, but holding them accountable that they do it. And if they don't do it, there's consequences. Because if there's not consequences, any of you parents? Or any of you? Yeah. So you have kids. Have you ever noticed kids kind of push the envelope and they push a little more and they push a little more? Have you noticed that? Well, employees are just big kids, okay? So they're going to push to see how far they can take you. You might as well just draw a line in the sand as to where it should be and deal consequences, and we'll talk about how to do that if that's what they do. Because here's the crazy thing about today's world. If I do pull an employee aside and pull them into my office confidentially and have a coaching session, is what we're going to call it, okay, what do they usually do as soon as they leave my office? Who can tell me? They go tell everybody else, which is hilarious. Back in my day, when you got in trouble by the boss, that was embarrassing. You didn't breathe a word of it to anybody. Today, 5 minutes after I do it, they're out there saying, oh, Mike wrote me up for this. And I'm secretly going, yes, because I was serious. When I said that at our Monday meeting, I meant it. You have to do that. And what I've also found, especially in today's world, is I only have to write one of them up. And the word spreads very quickly, and they get it that I'm serious, that I will enforce the rule that we talked about or whatever it is. Makes sense? So it makes my job much easier, that I don't have to write everybody up. It's just whoever, pushes that envelope too far first, I need to take care of that and deal with it. And then things go really well. So the supervisor leads by example every day. You've heard that, right? So you gotta lead by example. But attitude is the best way we can lead by example. You have to be in a good mood every day. There's a saying, moody people are rude people. Have you ever heard that one? But I suppose they have to be, because if they're on that downswing, it's not good, right? And I worked in a place with a person that was moody one time. It's like the first thing everybody did when they got to work is, what kind of mood is Ron in today, all right? Well, that doesn't work, because what we quickly learned is, you know what, we're just not going to chance it. I don't care if the building's on fire. I'm not going to tell Ron because he's mean. And a lot of times when we go to him, it doesn't go well. I don't want to be put in that situation. So we just didn't. And Ron really didn't even know what was going on. Anybody want to guess how effectively that location ran? Not very well. No, that doesn't work. Okay. So you have to lead by example. But I think you can be fair and run a tight ship. In fact, let me ask you this question. Who is your favorite high school teacher? Who can tell me? Anybody? Think of one? It was. Hey, I can still remember. Mine was second grade, Mrs. Mountain, actually, so nobody's off the hook here on this exercise. Favorite high school teacher? Who was yours?
Mine was Miss Moore. She was my calculus teacher.
Calculus, okay. Here's my question. Was she easy or did she push you?
She had to push you.
She pushed you, yeah.
Not easy.
Yep. Anybody else? Favorite high school teacher? You?
Me? My drama teacher, high school, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Were they easy or did they push you to some new heights?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, but they could push, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing. When you push employees, what happens? What do you hear from them? Whining and complaining, right? And when you don't push, you back off, what do you hear? Crickets. We thus conclude, well, obviously they're slackers. They don't want to be pushed because sometimes I'll get some feedback when actually I think the opposite is true. I think that's a myth. Okay, so I think as a supervisor, we can have high expectations. We just have to be in the employee's corner and help them get there. All right, we're part of it. I always saw myself as part of my employee's success. If somebody had a poor performance review, that's my fault. That's how I look at it. I didn't disconnect and, well, yeah, they're not doing great. Hey, if they're on my team, it's my responsibility to make sure they're doing good. Okay, so that how many people are on your teams, roughly?
Anywhere from 10 to 40.
10 to 40, all right. I had 200, so I think you can do it, all right? It's possible if that's the attitude that I'm taking responsibility for it. But set that tone right at the beginning of the shift even for clear expectations. When Rudolph Giuliani was the mayor of New York City, every day of the year he had a 5-minute meeting at the start of the shift just to make sure there's clear expectations, to make sure there's a sense of urgency as to what's going to happen today. Oh, and any of you have questions, I'll gladly answer those. But just to make sure we hit the ground running, that we have that effective day and have that communication with your team right from the start. Okay? So positive reinforcements. There's a few things we have to do. Number one, they have to be timely. Okay, like right when it happens is the best time to positively reinforce somebody. Thank them for doing a great job, for going the extra mile, for helping out that coworker that's maybe new and they could see they were going to struggle with something, so they just jumped in without being told so, right? So that's very important that we're timely and we're specific. What specifically did we do? I had a manager once. I'm like, so do you thank your team? Yep, every day, Mike. I'm like, good, good. Well, how do you do it? Well, every day after, when everybody's going home, I'm like, thanks, everybody. I'm like, that's fine, you know, and you can keep doing that, but it's kind of background noise after the first week or two if you're just doing it every day. What specifically, again, hey, thank you very much. I know we were busy over the lunch hour, but I seen you twice, went and helped that new employee out and kept them from a difficult situation where the customer would have got angry at them. I so appreciate that. How long did that take? Yeah, 10 seconds. But it has so much power. So it has to be timely, has to be specific, has to be frequent. Okay? There should be many of those. My dad worked for the same company for 25 years, and back in the day, you didn't hear thank you. Your thanks is your paycheck. That's the old school way that thanks was. Maybe you heard it once a year at an annual review, maybe once a year. My recommendation in today's world as to how often to have positive reinforcements, every 14 minutes. Okay, I'm kidding. But it has to be more frequent, okay? I'm like, so I'm supposed to thank them for doing their job? Yes, yes, now you get it. Absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. Because here's the other thing. Let's move on to coaching. When it comes to coaching, I'm not shy, okay? In fact, what I've learned, and research even backs up, new employees after 30 days have already formed habits that are going to be very hard for you to break. So the best strategy, honestly, let's just teach them how to do it right from day one. And jump in there, and that probably means 25 times the first day they heard some coaching from me, and 17 more times the second day. And that's okay. You know, I have a lot of experience. I bet a lot of you do too, right? Oh, and I have opinions as to things that are going on in my store. So it does no good to keep those inside my head. I have to share them and share them frequently. So there's a lot of coaching. There's a lot of coaching going on. There has to be a lot of positive reinforcements to kind of balance that out. Does that make sense? So communication is just huge, and they should be hearing from me. I should almost have a sore throat at the end of the day because I was talking so much and communicating so much. Coaching and thanking people for doing a great job and creating that positive yet tight ship work environment. Make sense? All right, good stuff. So everything should be positive. Let's be fair-minded. I'll ask you a question. Give me any situation in life where there's a value to being condescending. Can you? You can't, right? Give me any... Yeah, there you go. Comedy. Give me a situation in life where there's a value to being argumentative. Can't do it, right? Give me a situation in life where there's a value to ignoring somebody. Especially if you're the supervisor. I don't recommend it. Where there's a value to being intimidating. You can't, right? Again, I feel everything that comes out of my mouth should be positive and encouraging and helping people be successful and reach their potential. Every employee has potential. Maybe some's higher than others, that's okay. You know, that steady employee that took some extra coaching, I'm completely fine with that person. Are you not? That's okay. But I have to help them reach their potential. And it takes a lot of feedback from me to do it. Now, sometimes things aren't going so well, and we have to have a little confidential one-on-one meeting with somebody. All right? We need to do it. We need to do it. Is pulling somebody aside, there's confrontation, my favorite thing to do? No, maybe not. If I'm just being honest, maybe it's not my favorite thing to do. But you know what's worse? Is walking around for 50 some hours a week with a knot in my stomach because what she's doing is driving me nuts. Does that make sense? It's by far the lesser of two evils. In fact, admit it, how many times have you pulled somebody aside, had a coaching session, and afterwards go, that wasn't so bad. And you go, oh, I feel relieved that I was able to say that I got that off my chest because that person needed to hear it, right? We all know it, we just have to do it. So 90% of people, in my estimation, don't like confrontation. They don't like pulling somebody aside. And the other 10% of you like it a little too much, okay? So we all need to gravitate towards the middle and do it just the right way. But how we do that is to leave them thinking about their behavior, not the coaching session. Because if I yell, scream, things like that, what are they going to think about? The coaching session, right? So here's the thing. There's a story. There's this family. They have a 16-year-old daughter. And it's Friday night. It's time for the high school football game. So it's like 5:30 and she's just leaving the house. But mom and dad actually caught her trying to sneak a bottle of vodka out of the house to take with to the high school football game. Well, dad, he's all mad and he's going to handle this, all right? Mom's like, no, I'm going to handle it. Dad's like, oh, no, I'm going to handle it. And mom's like, oh, no, I'll handle it. Anybody want to guess who handled it? Mom, yeah, exactly. So mom handled it and sat her down and explained, we raised you better than that. You know better. You're not even legal. Teenagers die 1 every 7 minutes from a drinking and driving incident. All right, things like that. And they had a little coaching session, and she then let her go to the football game. Oh, now Dad's really mad, okay? And she gets to go to the game? I'd have grounded her. I'd have took her car keys, and I'd have took her cell phone. She'd be up in her room. Okay, so mom and dad kind of had a disagreement as to how to handle this situation. Well, fast forward to the next morning. Mom and dad are downstairs in the kitchen having breakfast. They're not talking, okay, but they're both down there. And the daughter comes down. And mom goes, hey, how was the football game last night? And the daughter goes, well, actually, it was the worst football game I ever been to. And mom's like, oh, I mean, did we lose? What happened? She goes, no, I was just feeling so bad at how I had disappointed you and Dad. I could not have fun at the football game. And ding, maybe the light bulb went off in Dad's head. Because if Dad would have handled it and yelled and screamed and kicked the end table and took her cell phone away and her car keys and sent her to her room, what would she be thinking about in her room? Yeah, exactly. Her focus would have been on what a jerk her dad is. Would you all agree? There'd be no focus on the rule that she had just broke. So back to you as a supervisor, you want them to focus on their job, not on how we handled coaching them on the job. So that's why, again, I think if we do it positively, but we enforce the rules and hold them accountable, it's just going to work a lot better. So here's how we do it. I have a script that makes it easy. So for those 90% of you that don't know what to say, or you don't know where to start, or how do I legally do this, and all those other concerns, which are valid, and I get it, here's a very easy script. You can honestly have it on your desk as you do it the first few times. There's nothing wrong with that. But the script starts out, I have notified you, or we need to talk about, depending on if it's your first time talking to them, or maybe this is a repeating concern. What is your goal? What have you tried? And then allow Dr. Phil. How's that working for you? Okay. Well, my observations are, because what's a common thing that you would have to talk to an employee about? Who can tell me one? What would you pull somebody aside? Standing around, not doing anything. Okay, let's use that. We need to talk about you standing around, leaning against the counter when there's plenty of things to do around the restaurant. What is your goal? What have you tried? How's that working for you? Well, my observations are 4 times again this morning, I found you just standing there, not really doing anything. Am I accurate? What are they going to say? Well, maybe. The nice thing about this script, it does kind of back them into a corner. It's kind of hard. I'm not saying, some people are argumentative, okay, and they will just say no, but it's kind of a cut and dried case. Does that make sense? Well, my observations are this: am I accurate? I mean, how could they say no? No, seriously, I've cut you 4 times. All right? I need you to own up to it. So what other approach could you try? What else could they do? They could take initiative even without instruction, right? What are you committing to? My job is simply to observe your choices. I'm out. It's like people aren't always great at personal accountability. Is that fair? They blame the coworker. They blame the machine. Sometimes they blame me. I don't know how I got wrapped into all this. Have you noticed that? That they're good at not really taking accountability for it? So this script kind of helps you create a situation where, again, I'm out. I'm here to support you and give you the training you need, but when it comes to this, it's 100% up to you. If it comes to keeping busy or standing around, it's 100% your choice as an employee as to which path you're going to take. And I'll hold you accountable to your choices, and at some point there'll be consequences for the wrong choices. Is that true? Is it really 100% up to them? Absolutely. Yeah. They control all of this. Okay, I don't control any of it. And then you have to have the follow-up meeting. I don't care how good or bad it goes, there has to be another meeting where it's either A, I've seen improvement, great, thanks, keep doing that, or B, I have not seen improvement, let's go through the script again. Oh, and by the way, we're not just going to have a whole bunch of coaching sessions where you say you're going to do it, but then, it doesn't really happen. I am holding you accountable for this, and as with anything, eventually we can warn them of what discipline might be coming their way if they don't want to listen. Make sense? And then fewer meetings down the road. Yeah. I've had situations where I have helped employees, okay, and given them daily feedback every day. Hey, I really want you to be on our team. I think you can do a great job here, but this standing around is really a concern, okay, and it's going to jeopardize your employment here. So I want to help you with that. And in fact, I really want you to be successful. So I will meet with you every single day you work at the end of your shift and give you some feedback as to how you did today. They going to like that? No. Which, that's fine, okay? Because I know when their shift ends, so I will make sure I find them sometime before the end of their shift. And it's really funny, like the first day I walk up to, okay, it's time for our little feedback session. We can, step into the back or wherever you do those. And like, you're serious about that? Like, yeah, I was serious. Every day. If you get better, we'll just do it once a week. Oh, and if you get better than that, we'll just do it once a month. In fact, if you just get all the way to really, really need to be, we won't even talk about it anymore. That sound good? So it's that feedback and that attention. And a lot of people kind of follow the theory, the less I see of my boss, the better. So they don't really like the daily feedback. But I get results when I have daily meetings. You want to see somebody's behavior turn around? Try it. It will work. There's always that one that will go down in flames, and I guess if that's the case, then we can help them transition to some other job and poison some other work environment, correct? If they just refuse to listen, that's a pretty small percentage though. If we handle it right, it's amazing. 9 out of 10, they'll come around. 9 out of 10, when we draw that line in the sand, they'll meet the mark. They'll do it for us, okay? Especially, again, if we communicate in the right way. And then after that, we move on. No grudges. I don't give them a cold shoulder. That's immature. I let them, it's over. We spoke about it. I laid out the expectations. Let's go do a great job for our customers today. Sound good? That's what's really important. And it might take more than one coaching session. Research shows if I present to you some material and just have you all read it, you will retain about 30% of what's on the page. If I actually get up here and talk about it, it goes up to 40%. If we make it interactive and I get some things from the audience, we can get to 50%, and that's about as high as we can get. So no matter how valuable today's training session is, you'll forget 50% of what happens. So when you coach your team, is one coaching session always going to fix the problem? No. No, you might need to do some of them, and especially when it gets to the details of your instructions and so forth, more than once. That's okay. We can do that. All right? We can do that. But never forget to watch tone and pitch of your voice. That's what really makes the difference of them feeling it's you and me against the problem. I always want to create a situation where I'm with you. I want to help you succeed. I want you to keep your job here. I want you to be successful, versus they see me and the problem over here. It all depends on tone and pitch. Did I not tell you yesterday to take care of that? Ooh, You see what I mean? We can use tone and pitch as a weapon, and as soon as we do, we lose them. We do. They feel like they're working against us. And that teamwork thing that I talked about at the start of the session, pretty hard to make that happen, okay? It's that positive tone and pitch. If I'm talking to somebody for a second or third time, or still helping them with some details, maybe a new employee. New employees take some patience, right? Patience, not necessarily a virtue I was born with, but I can do this. I can talk just as nicely to them, even on a difficult conversation, as any other conversation. Just watch your tone and pitch of your voice. That's going to be the key to keeping them on your side. All right? And other employees are watching. Does your team know who your underperformers are on your staff? Yeah. There's no secrets at your restaurants, is there? Come on. None, pretty much. Right? They know. When I was a young manager, I remember giving somebody a break, thinking, well, I need to be popular. That's how I get everybody to work for me, is be popular. So, I'll cut this person some slack and things will go a lot better. Anybody want to guess how that worked out? Not good. No, because everybody else in the team was upset that I didn't hold this person accountable. If they all show up for work on time, they want me to go talk to the employee that doesn't show up for work on time and take care of that. They're waiting for me, and the clock's ticking. They don't have a lot of patience in this either. They're waiting for me to go take it. We all see it. We all see somebody that's not very friendly to customers, right? We all see somebody that stands around. We all know who's late for work. There's no secrets. And it's really up to me to take care of those situations. Okay? They're looking for us to do it. But as a leader, I'm not going to talk negatively about other employees to employees. That's a bad move that I do still see supervisors make, because they're over here complaining about the employee that whatever was standing around or whatever the issue was. Hey, your team has no right to hear that. That's confidential. Okay? We can't do that to the team. Instead, we need to choose our attitude every day. How do you answer the question even when somebody just goes, how are you doing, right? That's like a common question you get a bunch of times a day. How are you doing today? How do you answer that?
Tired, ugly, and old.
Tired, ugly, and old. Okay, who else? Anybody have a good one? It kind of sets a tone, okay? Some people I talked to today, I'm like, how's it going today? Living the dream. But they say it so sarcastically, they're obviously not living the dream, okay? Or I ask people how they're doing. Oh, I'm okay, I guess, Mike. I'm like, really? You sound like a heart attack, okay? Have you ever, and that's kind of how they are. Have you ever worked with somebody where when people go, oh, how's it going today, Mike, or whoever, they go, awesome. Have you ever worked with somebody that's like that? How is their attitude? Actually, it's kind of awesome, right? It's funny how even those little things and start of the shift means so much. The first time I became a location manager, I still remember I was 26 years old. That's what brought me here to Nebraska. But I ran that location a couple years and then was able to move on and run even a larger location and kept in contact with my team. We had a really neat team and some teamwork. And everybody always mentioned the same thing that they missed about working for me. Anybody want to guess what it is? It's a tough one, and I never would have guessed it. That I said hello to them at the start of their shift. I literally talked to probably 30 people over the years. And part of me is like, well, what about my training programs? Or what about how I'd work with you and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty and all the other little building blocks that I thought was a key to being respected and to being a great leader, that I said hello to them at the start of their shift every single time they came to work. I was kind of like, whoa. Man, if I'd have known management was that easy, maybe I got promoted even sooner, right? So think about that. Set that tone right when people get to work. Make sure, hey, if they're not having a good day, let's get them turned around before they head to that front cash register and start spreading that to everybody that walks in, right? Can't have that. Do you agree with this statement? Every time you walk by somebody, you have the chance to make their day better or worse. Do you believe that? Yep. Every time. How many times do you walk by an employee in a shift? Could be 100, right? Absolutely. We have to lead by example. Smile, eye contact, say hello, those kinds of things. And remember that even if we face some adversity, we can keep that right attitude. Do you know we're the only creatures on the face of the earth blessed with this thing called the stimulus response formula, which means we get a split second to decide our response. So if somebody bolted through that door right now and yelled at me, Mike, what are you doing in this room? Do I need to yell back at him? No, right? I'm part of one of those creatures that has that split second to decide my response. And I've heard this a lot. Well, the customer said this, or the employee did this. And so, trying to justify he just pushes my buttons type of reaction. No, I'm sorry, that's not going to work with me. I know we have that stimulus response. You choose your response. We get to do that. So we should probably utilize it, right? Since we're the only ones that have it. All right. What if you're not having a great day, though? Okay, so I talk about, I'm in a great mood every day. What if you're not that person? What if it's not such a sunny day? What if you don't have such a sunny disposition? What do you do when you go to work?
Fake it.
You fake it. Awesome answer. I love that. Have you ever seen Coach Cush from Boys Town on his teamwork speech? He's like Mr. High Energy. He makes me look like I'm sleeping, okay? He's super revved up, and he said one day this other person came into my office and they go, Cush, I got a question for you. And he's like, okay, what's that? He goes, are you really this positive every day? And he kind of laughed and thought about it. He goes, pretty close. Yep, I'm pretty lucky. But maybe not quite every day. And they're like, well, what do you do on the days that you're not? He goes, I fake it. I'm like, yes, isn't that really what, I have a retail background and you too. It's like when you clock in, it's like game on, right? We're supposed to roll out the red carpet for the customer. So especially as the leader, I need to do that. Very good. All right. Here's a good question for somebody that just doesn't seem to get that. It's an HR approved question. When are you going to commit to our company direction, right? I need you to be more positive. I need you to be receptive to my coaching. Okay, I have some wisdom I'm willing to share, and I need everybody in the team, myself included, to accept feedback, correct? If somebody's defensive, do you have anybody in your team that just doesn't want to hear it and You know, like if a coworker tries to sell them something, they're like, hey, you're not my boss, and those kinds of things. Pull them aside. That doesn't work. No, we should all accept feedback. You will never improve without feedback. You'd be stuck with just what you know yourself today. The only way we grow as individuals is to accept feedback. Why would I accept it from you or him or her, anybody, the janitor? It doesn't matter. Why wouldn't I listen? Because you know what? There's good stuff in there. And we need our team, if we're going to have teamwork, to be able to listen and accept feedback from anybody. I don't care if it's the new kid that's been here 2 weeks. You might have a good idea. Have you ever had somebody who's been with you 2 weeks have a good idea? I bet you have. That fresh set of eyes, it's amazing how often that works. So lastly, it comes to positive attitude. Here's the thing. You can't join the pity parties. Your job now is to break up the pity parties. So if employees are standing around complaining, does that ever happen? It happens, okay, about whatever, hours and customers or wages or, you pick a subject. You can't join in, because if you think they weren't working so great before, the worst thing you can do is join in. If I join in and they go, yeah, see, Mike even thinks this stinks. Now they're really not going to work very well. Does that make sense? We just drove productivity to a new low if they can go, yeah, Mike even agrees. This is terrible. You can't do it. So what this means, are you ready for this? You're all sitting down, thankfully. You have to support the company direction 100% of the time. You have to support every policy, every decision. You have to find the positive spin on it and roll it out to your team. Why? Because it's just not a good strategy to complain and to badmouth things. The team's going to work slower, and they're going to smile less, and they're going to stand around more, and all the things we don't want are going to happen. I truly think it's our job to support everything that comes down to you at the store level and put that positive. There's logic, if we're going to be fair-minded, there's logic behind every decision policy. Maybe it's not agreeing with your logic. Maybe not everything about it is roses. I get it, but you can't promote that to your team. It doesn't work. It's a bad strategy. I'm not asking you to be robots, okay? If you have opinions, if you have ideas, if there's things that you think could be improved or could be better, that's fine. That's what peers are for. So you can talk to amongst yourself. Oh, and it's what supervisors are for. I'm pretty sure if you have great ideas and you have more ways for us to run profitable locations, I bet they would listen. But you don't dump it on your team. Is that fair? Is everybody with me on that one? Okay, good. So, as far as the script, before I wrap up my review for the day, my 3 bullet points, I have 3 scripts here that face what I would think would be 90% of the situations that you face. Attendance, attitude, and customer service. Is that fair? Is that 90% of your employee issues? So here's how you have a positive work environment and run a tight ship. You can take these word for word. You can email me. My address is on there. I will help you out. But here's how you do it. So for attendance, I believe that you have talent and are a positive addition to our team, and I would hate to lose you. However, your attendance could lead to the loss of your position here, and I think that would be a silly way to lose a good job. Isn't that what you're thinking, if you're just being honest? Have you ever heard honesty is the best policy? I want to help you, so let's review reasons why you miss work or are late for work and create a new path where you are accountable for your behavior and are successful here, and we don't have these issues. You like that? Positive but firm, okay? Any questions on that one? Attitude. I like that you're on our team and few have a lot of potential, but getting along with coworkers is a must. I promote respectful treatment of others, which includes using a positive tone and pitch to your voice when communicating, accepting feedback from others, and using compliments and thank yous to others instead of criticisms and insults. Okay? I will give you regular feedback on how you're doing and can help you succeed. But this is important to your job as other performance categories. Attitude is a performance issue, just like attendance and quality of work. Would you all agree? In fact, is attitude as important as attendance? It is. Attitude's a huge deal breaker for me, and so are the others, don't get me wrong. I think some people think, well, I can, as long as I'm good in those two, I can do whatever in this category. No, sorry. That's not that great team that I started the day where everybody likes to come to work. That's what I want, create an environment where people like being here, we work well together. If I have a bad apple that's trying to ruin the whole barrel, I will address it. And lastly, customer service. Customers are very important and do write our paychecks. That's an old saying, but it's still true, is it not? It is. So I would like you to focus on providing a great experience for customers that come into our restaurant. You are capable of doing a great job, but consistently we need to immediately acknowledge visitors, always smile and be talkative, and avoid side conversations and other loss of customer focus. I have faith you can do this. I'm in your corner, and I look forward to better results that we acquire after this meeting. Sound good? Positive, but it's firm. You have to do it. This is serious stuff. Questions on that? Okay, so review. 3 bullet points, 3 takeaways. Number 1, create a positive work environment and run a tight ship. Do you think that can be done? You betcha. Number 2, more positive reinforcements, more coaching, more communication from both standpoints. Train them, support them, help them succeed, and thank them and make sure you're pointing out when they're doing a great job. They need to hear it. If you want behavior to be repeated, you need to acknowledge it. If they think, oh, well, he never notices anyway, they'll quit doing it. If I make a big deal out of it and praise somebody, like, oh, Mike did notice, and they'll do it again and again. And thirdly, always be proactive and working towards building a great team. That's what you want. And probably 90-some% of that great team is already there. If they're not there today, through some coaching, we can get them there. And if we hold people accountable, it's amazing how many of them will rise up to the challenge. Especially if we control tone and pitch of our voice when we're coaching, and do things like, I understand this is a challenge, which helps me, again, be with them against the problem and help drive them towards better performance. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
What are some of the biggest reasons, given that people don't hold other people accountable from a managerial perspective? What does your research in the retail area see there or say?
I see 2 things. I see that fear of confrontation, and I see we can rationalize and use hope as a strategy. Well, I hope they'll start getting along, or I hope he'll start picking up the pace and not standing around, or I hope tomorrow he'll show up in a better mood and be better to our customers. So hope is a terrible strategy, but it's one we can hang our hat on. We can kind of rationalize that way. And then just that fear of confrontation. So I think having easy scripts that hopefully are uplifting, holding them accountable, can help us overcome that. First off, just if we think about it, yeah, hope is a lousy strategy. And now that I know what to say, how to say it, do each of you have a situation you could try one of these within the next 48 hours? Honestly, I bet you do. Try it. You'll like it. I promise. Great question, though. Yes, sir.
Do you think there's a certain point you need to be more direct with an employee and not so positive, like on topics like attendance, if they aren't improving? Or because I can see having this, like your example conversation with an employee once, but if it doesn't improve from there,
right,
I could see it being a much more direct, hey, you need to start getting here on time. We've had this conversation. If you aren't, you're going to lose your job.
Do you have, what are your guidelines for attendance, and when does somebody face termination?
It depends on if they're scheduled at 11 and they're constantly showing up at 11:02, they're going to be given maybe a little more leeway than someone that is showing up at 11:15, and if you're scheduled at 11 and you don't show up till noon, there's a chance you're fired.
Okay. Yeah.
The general rule is 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah. Well, here's how I answer that question. Sometimes I'll be a little bit more direct from the standpoint of, okay, we've had a couple meetings. The ship's leaving. Are you on it? Are you not? Are you on my team? Are you not? But otherwise, honestly, I'm still pretty positive. But here's the thing, is I'll be positive and I'll coach you. Next time I might be positive, but I'm writing you up. And I'm like, okay, I need you to sign this because we've had this infraction again. This is something that you can't continue to do. In fact, that I might even be positive. Here's another write-up. If you're late again, you're terminated.
Yeah.
So I'm not being the guy that's yelling at his 16-year-old daughter. In fact, if honesty is the best policy, you know what I tell employees, seriously, is, hey, if you do this again, I'm going to have to write you up. I don't want to have to write you up. I bet you don't want to be written up. But if you do that again, that's where we're at. Seriously.
Then you just have to follow through.
And then I have to follow through, or I lose everybody's respect. My word is no good to anybody the first time I let it slide or, look the other way. I have to follow through with what I promised. And I can do it in the same, I've actually just sat down talking to you like I am now when I'm terminating somebody and say, hey, I'm really sorry it didn't work out. And I mean it. When I hired him, I was hoping that it worked out. So, but they know I'm serious. And when those write-ups and the other things start coming, it sends that message to the team. Oh, Mike's serious. Yeah, great question though. I really like that question because a lot of times I'll do a training session. Like, so Mike, we need to coddle employees. I'm like, no. In fact, again, tight ship. In fact, whatever your expectations are, raise it up another notch, but help them get there. Help them get there. Just like your favorite high school teacher did. They helped you. It seemed like they cared about you, right? Great supervisors. Employees can smell it because all of us, either we care or we don't care. And if they think you care, you can get them to whatever performance level you want. If they don't think you care, good luck. Okay, we have to work on that because they have to feel like he cares, he's trying to help me, and I'm not coming across condescending, talking down to him, and I'm better than you, and you don't listen to me, and all those kinds of things. Glad I got that one out. Anything else? All right. Well, thanks, everybody. If you have a question, I'll be glad to stay. But thank you.
Thank you.